Good morning, folks. My name is Curtis Chandler, President at PFL. We hope that everyone had a great weekend and all the fathers out there had a great Sunday. We also hope that you are enjoying our early morning briefing. We do it all for you. We are live 7 a.m. Eastern every Monday. If you are viewing this podcast through our reports and are up at 7 a.m. Eastern on Mondays, please tune in next week live instead. Please like us and follow us on LinkedIn and pass on the good word. We'd certainly appreciate it, and you could win a PFL Railcar. At the end of every quarter, which happens to be the end of this month, we have a draw for those that do. And this quarter, we're giving away a PFL Railcar of the winner's choosing. Our fleet consists of boxcars, tanks cars, both white and black, hoppers, and coal cars. Our quote this week is from Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore once said, "The only person who never makes a mistake is a person who never does anything." Folks, it goes without saying, we really like this one. We at PFL try a lot of different things, and as a consequence, make a lot of mistakes along the way. Not that we want to, by any means, we just try and learn from them the best we can. We believe this is the way to go, and thanks, Teddy, for the wise words of reflection. U.S. unemployment initial jobless claims unexpectedly rose last week despite an ongoing recovery in the U.S. employment market, the Labor Department reported Thursday of last week. First-time filings for unemployment insurance for the week ending June 12th totaled 412,000 compared to the previous week of 375,000. That was the highest number since May 15th. Economists were expecting 360,000 new claims last week. All of the increase essentially came from two states. Pennsylvania saw a gain of 21,590 people, while California rose 15,712 people, according to data released. U.S. stocks finished another volatile week, lower with the Dow and the S&P posting sharp weekly losses and the NASDAQ erasing its advance for the week on Friday of last week. The thought of higher interest rates, runaway inflation, a rising U.S. dollar, and a potential shift by the Fed weighed heavily on the market's value stocks. The Dow closed Friday of last week down 533.37 points and down 1,189.52 points week over week. The S&P 500 closed lower on Friday, down 55.41 points and down 80.99 points week over week. The NASDAQ closed lower on Friday of last week, down 130.97 points and down 39.04 points week over week. In overnight trading, Dow futures traded higher and are expected to open up this morning 194 points. According to Goldman Sachs, strong U.S. demand growth is being passed on to Europe and emerging markets where India is showing improvements. Global oil demand hit 97 million barrels per day of oil, up from 95 million just a few weeks ago. Consumption before the pandemic stood at 100 million barrels per day, so we're almost there, folks. WTI crude oil rose on Friday of last week, up 60 cents a barrel to settle at $71.64 a barrel, up 73 cents per barrel week over week. U.S. commercial crude inventories decreased by 7.4 million barrels week over week. U.S. crude inventories are 5% below the 5-year average for this time of year. Total motor gasoline inventories increased by 2 million barrels per day week over week and are at par with the 5-year average for this time of year. Distillate fuel inventories decreased by 1 million barrels per day week over week and are 6% below the 5-year average for this time of year. Propylene and propane inventories increased by 1.5 million barrels last week and are 13% below the 5-year average for this time of year. U.S. crude oil imports averaged 6.7 million barrels per day last week, up 108,000 barrels per day week over week. Over the past 4 weeks, crude imports averaged 6.3 million barrels per day, 5.9% less than the same 4-week period last year. U.S. crude oil inventories inputs averaged 16.3 million barrels per day during the week of June 11, 2021, which was 412,000 barrels a day more than the previous week average. Refineries operated at 92.6% of their operable capacity last week. Oil is higher in overnight trading, and WTI is poised to open up at $71.90, up 26 cents from Friday's close. Total North American rail volumes were up 15.3% year over year in week 23, resulting in quarter-to-date volumes that are up 22.6% year over year. To-date volumes that are up 12.2% year over year. 10 of 11 of AAR's major traffic categories posted year over year increases, with intermodal up 14.5%, coal was up 35.5%, metallic ores were up 28.4%, last but not least, chemicals were up 17.3%. North American rig count is up by 33 rigs week over week. The U.S. was up 9 rigs week over week, up by 204 rigs year over year. The U.S. currently has 470 active rigs. Canada's rig count was up by 24 rigs week over week and up by 100 rigs year over year, and Canada's overall rig count is 117 active rigs. Year over year, we are up collectively 304 rigs. A few things that we are keeping an eye on. Enbridge Line 3. Enbridge is months away from turning on the taps on the first meaningful new pipeline addition out of Canada in 6 years, following a favorable ruling in Minnesota on Monday of last week. Line 3 will result in 400,000 barrels per day of excess pipeline capacity out of Canada. As highlighted in last week's rail report, Canada oil supply is set to climb to a record high in the second half of 2021. The decision by the Minnesota is fortuitous for Canadian producers, and we expect the pipeline to be full immediately. See PFL Rail Report for further details. CN and KCS merger update. A major rail union has asked the Surface Transportation Board to reject CN's request for a voting trust for its merger with Kansas City Southern. Jeremy Ferguson, president of the International Association Sheet Metal, Air, Rail, and Transportation Workers Transportation Division, SMART, said in a filing that the trust would harm employees of both railroads. Shipping costs gone wild. Transportation of a 40-foot steel container of cargo by sea from Shanghai to Rotterdam now costs $10,522. That's 547% higher than the seasonal average over the last 5 years, according to Drewry Shipping. Drewry's index rose by 3.4% on Thursday of last week, and costs are expected to accelerate with upwards of 80% of goods that transport by sea. Freight charges are threatening to boost the price of everything from toys, furniture, computers, coffee, and other commodities. Then there is the cost of rail and truck to get the products to a location near you. Folks, we feel we can't avoid inflation. Maybe consumer spending will relax, but that it's a very complex system we seem to find ourselves in right now, and no one knows the answer. Stay tuned to PFL. We'll try and keep you as informed as we can. Last but not least, the reading of PFL's Rail Report is a must. Not only do we go into more detail on the items discussed in today's podcast, but we have a bunch of fancy graphs and pictures for you to view. And other topics we discuss include the recent upturn in RINs, TC Energy, carbon pipeline capture. New Mexico's production hit a record high. That's in our report, and the latest and greatest rail numbers for crude across North America. So we urge you to read that report. We spent a lot of time doing it, and there's some great information for you there. Please, of course, check out our website, pflpetroleum.com. If there's any questions that you have, anything you want to troubleshoot, at least return, needing rail cars, have access rail cars, needing storage, wanting storage, or have storage. We do it all, folks. Thanks for your time today, and hope you have a great week. Thank you.